You ever look a billionaire in the eye and shake his hand, knowing you already stole from him once, and you're about to do it again? I have. And not just any billionaire. I'm talking about Douglas Kirwan, tech mogul, crypto evangelist, one of those guys who thinks he's smarter than everyone else in the room. He's not. He just had a better head start. Money. Connections. A father who cleared his path and erased every failure like it never happened. Me? I had to build my life out of stolen pieces. I'm not bitter. I'm just better at what I do. And what I do is take things that were never supposed to be touched. The first time I robbed Kirwan, it wasn't even planned. I didn't know who he was yet. Back then, I was just another ghost bouncing between cities, running ops for mid-tier clients. Mostly digital stuff. Skimming accounts. Corporate espionage. If a firewall existed, I could slip through it. One job took me to San Jose, a luxury high-rise downtown. My contact said the target had a private node hosting keycodes linked to off-chain crypto transactions, something not regulated, not backed up, and completely off the grid. It sounded like bullshit. But the payout was 6 figures, and I was bored. So I did it. Broke into the unit. No one home. Ran the extractor, copied 3 terabytes of data in under 12 minutes. Walked out with a clean slate and a thumb drive no one could trace. At the time, I didn't know who the target was. 3 weeks later, I found out I had stolen the private architecture behind Valence, Kirwan's proprietary trading algorithm for high-speed crypto manipulation. It wasn't just data. It was the backbone of a digital empire. And I'd just stolen its blueprint. I should have sold it. Dumped it. Burned it. But something about it stayed with me. The way it was written, modular, paranoid, elegant in its own insane logic. Whoever built it wasn't just smart. They were scared. Like they knew someone was always watching. I kept the code offline. Isolated. Then I started tracking Kirwan. Not like a hitman. Not like a stalker. Like a chess player. I wanted to understand him. What he built. What he feared. What made him so damn protective of a system that no one else seemed to even know existed. And the more I dug, the clearer it got. Kirwan didn't trust anyone. His team was outsourced. His network segmented. He rotated private residences every 90 days. Nothing stayed in one place long enough to rot. Except one thing. His ego. I came up with a second job over the course of 14 months. I wasn't just going to rob him again. I was going to get hired by him first. I assumed the name. Cal Monroe. Background in cryptographic security. Former consultant for offshore exchanges. A low enough profile to stay off mainstream radars, but enough fake credentials to be taken seriously by niche tech circles. I'd built the whole identity from scratch. Papers, history, burner interviews, a lightly active LinkedIn with staged endorsements, even ghost-written cybersecurity white papers under my alias. It had to be good enough to fool not just Kirwan, but the wolves around him. Because Kirwan didn't hire amateurs. He vetted everything through a shell firm called Obel Systems, a boutique contractor that only hired consultants for one project at a time, no overlap, no contact with the core. So I went after Obel first. I helped them discover a breach in their vendor management software, one that didn't exist until I made it happen. Then I helped them fix it. Quietly. Discreetly. 2 weeks later, they offered me a contract. 30 days. internal audit. Supposedly routine. I accepted, flew to his compound in Wyoming, his latest off-grid luxury fortress. Think steel, glass, reinforced everything, with a private satellite uplink and a permanent no-fly zone overhead. He wasn't there when I arrived. Kirwan never met contractors in person. At least, not until he trusted them. But I didn't need his trust. I needed 10 uninterrupted minutes inside his signal vault, a Faraday-protected room where he stored disconnected hardware and cold wallets. It was rumored to be his dead drop for moving untraceable assets between shell companies. The room was access locked by biometric, one-time pad authentication. No wireless. No remote interface. Air-gapped like a submarine. Which meant I had to go old school. I bribed a low-clearance server tech to leave me in the systems room for an audit. From there, I manually bridged a firmware patch into the door's emergency override interface. Not enough to open it, but enough to record the biometric sequence used to unlock it later that night, when Kirwan himself came by for his usual midnight routine. I watched the timestamp, matched it to the room logs. He was inside for 3 minutes. That was all I needed. The next night, I mirrored the sequence. Bypassed the single-use key by emulating the same signature handshake his admin console had deployed, byte for byte. At 2:14 a.m., I stepped into Kirwan's most sacred space. It was colder than I expected. No blinking lights. No sound. Just shelves lined with storage drives, backup units, encrypted keypads, and one fireproof safe. I ignored everything else. Went straight to the safe. The combination wasn't digital. It was physical, rotary, analog. A brilliant move if you're worried about digital forensics. But Kirwan was still human. And humans repeat themselves. I remembered the sequence he used to unlock his secure laptop earlier that week in front of the admin team. Same numbers. Same rotation. Click. Inside 5 offline cold wallets. All unlabeled. All untraceable. I took 2. Not all 5. Just enough. Just enough that he thinks something else had gone wrong. Maybe a bug. Maybe a failed sync. Maybe his own paranoia. And then I left. By dawn I was gone. Out of Wyoming. Out of the country. Back under a new name, a new IP address, a new life. I never even looked at the wallets. Not for 2 months. When I finally decrypted them, what I found wasn't just money. It was data. Secrets. Hidden memos. Asset trails from regimes that weren't supposed to exist anymore. Entire shell empires tied to weapons contractors, political brokers, proxy wars. It hit me then. The first time, I stole from his business. The second time, I stole from his soul. 2 months passed. No news. No alerts. No bodies. For a while, I thought I got away clean, again. But paranoia isn't just a side effect in this life. It's oxygen. And mine started suffocating me the day I saw that email. It wasn't addressed to me, of course. It came through a shell inbox tied to an alias I hadn't used since Bangkok for years back. A dead contact that should have been buried. The subject line? Let's talk about Wyoming. No body. No name. Just a timestamp and a location in Marrakesh. It wasn't a warning. It was a challenge. I didn't run. I didn't respond either. Instead, I activated a dormant protocol, one I'd written years ago in case this exact kind of thing ever happened. Backups. Dead drops. Fail-safes hidden in hotel safes, train station lockers, even inside a weatherproof tube buried under a fake grave in Prague. I prepared to disappear. But then I did something stupid. I got curious. Marrakesh was a furnace of dust and secrets. I showed up at the location, an empty cafe, closed for renovation, with a single chair pulled into the middle of the courtyard. On that chair, a burner phone, brand new, still in its box. I powered it on. No signal. Just a single preloaded file, an audio clip. My voice. From Wyoming. From the moment I opened Kirwan's vault. It wasn't a full recording, just static, footsteps, and one unmistakable sound, the soft click of the safe opening. Then a woman's voice came on. Calm. American. You're not invisible. He knows. But he still doesn't know it was you. Then silence. The screen flashed a single line of text before the phone wiped itself. You get one last move. Make it count. They weren't coming to kill me. They were watching to see what I'd do next. Which told me one thing. I had something Kirwan wanted. Badly. But he didn't know where to look, or who exactly he was looking for. It meant I still had leverage. And leverage in this world is everything. So I used it. I leaked fragments. Not the whole files. Just enough to make people ask questions. Government watchdogs, financial regulators, even darknet journalists. Quiet mentions of shell firms in Panama linked to anonymous donations in Eastern Europe. References to ghost accounts routing billions through untraceable wallets. I left a trail. A faint one. Back to Kirwan. It worked. 3 weeks later, Kirwan stepped in front of a camera at a tech conference in Munich. He looked composed. Still smug. But there was something behind his eyes, tight, calculating. The look of a man who doesn't know which of his 10 locked doors has already been opened. He announced a full internal audit of his holdings. Called it a proactive compliance initiative. Bullshit. He was bleeding. Quietly. And he had no idea where the knife was. That's when I knew I had him. Not because I could bankrupt him, not yet. But because I'd made him afraid of something he couldn't see. Fear is the most valuable currency in my world. More than crypto, more than gold, more than blackmail files on billionaires and senators. Because fear, real, cold, paralyzing fear, makes even the most powerful people predictable. And Kirwan was afraid. Not just because someone had touched his system. Not just because secrets were leaking out from under the floorboards of his empire. But because he didn't know who I was. He didn't know if I was a former employee, a rival, a foreign agent, a ghost from some war he funded through shell companies. The longer he didn't know, the more paranoid he got. And paranoia? That's what makes people make mistakes. I made one final move. I sent a package to his Wyoming compound. No note. No threat. Just a USB stick, and a single flash drive containing an audio clip. My voice. Not a recording from the vault. Not a confession. Just a single sentence, whispered in perfect clarity. You should stop using the same 3 numbers. That was it. No return address. No fingerprints. But he'd know. Only someone who had been inside the vault could know that the code to his personal safe started with 7, 1, 9. After that, I disappeared. Burned everything. The aliases, the accounts, the thumb drives. Even the names I'd given to the people I paid to help build the first identity. I didn't need to hurt Kirwan. I needed him to watch his empire slowly rot from the inside, not knowing whether I was still in it. Because when you steal from someone like him, once is luck, twice is skill. But to walk away alive, and leave him wondering for the rest of his life who you were, that's legacy. I live quiet now. Nothing flashy. A small house by a lake in a country without an extradition treaty. I fish. I read. I don't use real names. I don't use digital anything. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder if he ever figured it out. If he ever realized the guy he shook hands with in his Wyoming compound, the one who passed every check, every clearance, was the same ghost who'd already stolen from him once before. I think he did. And I think that's why he never came after me. Because deep down, a man like Kirwan respects a thief. As long as the thief plays the game better than him.